is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Project Blue Book. Today's the 50th anniversary.
When did that...
It's shutting down.
Oh, it shut down, but it's still going now?
No. It shut down in 1969.
Oh, it's the 50th anniversary of it shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did that start? It must have started around the Roswell crash. Oh, was it the 50s? I thought that was piggybacked off the Roswell tomfoolery.
What the fuck is Project Blue Book? I don't remember.
It's the government.
It was an amazing
program.
old TV show.
Basically, the government's research into UFOs and basically just UFOs. I mean, there were other things that stemmed from it, like Project Looking Glass, but that was a different group, a different thing.
Basically, government propaganda debunking UFOs.
Yeah, well,
it turned out to be. Who knows how legitimate it started? You know, it may have been a group of people like, we really want to know what's going on. And to be honest, I think a lot of what, in the middle of the Cold War, of course, the government was thinking these UFOs were enemy governments or militaries up to spy tomfoolery. We've talked about the Roswell crash being a few different. Maybe I'll do a revised version of that show, because that was a pretty mind-blowing show, I think, because there are a lot of those theories I didn't hear until I went looking. But one of my favorite theories about what the Roswell crash in 1947 was that it came from the USSR. And that would have been a Stalin operation where they wanted to just cause mayhem. Now, we know that governments, including our own, we have pretty good proof that governments do utilize mayhem when it comes to our enemies and just trying to put ourselves at some sort of advantage and them at some sort of disadvantage. Well, if we can catch them off guard, catch them at a time of chaos and panic, that can't be good for morale. One of the theories was that Stalin manipulated some children into looking like aliens, put them in some sort of craft, and like they flew them over the desert and dropped them off of a plane or something and have them crash there to cause some sort of alien invasion panic. And it kind of did. I mean, it didn't really turn into a panic, like, oh my God, we're all fucked. But it's still talked about. And we're talking about it right now. And it was a major, major story, but a very strange take on the Roswell mystery.
Yeah, I always thought a Blue Book is pretty much like the real deal of the X-Files.
Yeah. But like I said, it's like, well, John Mark was saying, basically to debunk, and I'm sure that a lot of that was, but I imagine that you did have a couple of molders in those groups. I mean, you had to, like some people that were just like, wait a minute, we're signing off on these things, and I don't know that I'm feeling what we're agreeing on. I don't know that everything that we come across is those pesky Ruskies, and then later on, Korea or wherever the fuck. I bet there were a few people in there that were just genuinely looking for the truth. And then those people probably got as far as Mulder did with the X-Files, and then the powers that be would shut you down. And it's an interesting, really, really interesting project. And I honestly don't know a ton about it, like the history of it, who was running it, whose idea it was, what ultimately caused it. But it all, between Roswell and, I always forget the dude's name who coined the phrase flying saucer up here in Washington State when he was flying over near Mount Rainier. Ken something, I believe. He was a pilot. And between all of that and just starting to see new technologies in the sky, I think that we had a good reason for starting a project that looked specifically into unidentifiable objects in the sky. And yeah, again, who knows how far that went in a legitimate investigative track versus, we found some shit and we're going to lie about it, or we're just looking to shoot down any idea of alien life. There was a lot to Project Blue Book, but Fascinating shit. Yeah, so they closed it in 1969, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could have sworn it went longer than that. Interesting stuff. Just going to shoot a little shit tonight and get caught up on some news stories, but there's one that has been in my inbox for a while now. Jefferson sent it to me. And I don't know why. I never opened it. And it's a fairly recent murder case set in South Carolina. It was a realtor named Todd Kohlhepp. He was accused of kidnapping and killing at least, I think, 8 or so people, but probably closer to a dozen by the time this all pans out. Part of this is an ongoing investigation, but on November 6th in 2003, 4 people were shot to death inside Superbike Motorsports in Chesney, South Carolina. And that case stayed cold for over 2 years, well over 10 years. And then in 2016, Kayla Brown, who was 30 years old, and her boyfriend, Charles Carver, who was also about 30 years old, they went missing after heading to Kohlhepp's house. And they'd been hired to clean it out, but nobody really knew that other than them. So for a month or so, their friends and family were frantically trying to find them. And then something pretty fucked up and creepy happened out of the blue. Now imagine this. Imagine someone that you love, a couple that you love, has like genuinely been missing for over a month. And everyone's just like, something fucked up happened. This is not like these people. And out of the blue, Charles' Facebook comes to life and starts posting some wacky shit. First he said that he and Kayla had eloped and that they were hiding for whatever reason. And everyone's like, oh my God, you guys are alive? Where the fuck are you? Like, what are you doing? People have been freaking the fuck out. Like, where's Kayla? Why isn't she on her Facebook? And there's like no response to any of that. And then a few days later, Charles would get on and post some weird violent meme or some random pictures of violence. And then he would just get on there and start ranting. And people pretty quickly made up their minds that this was not Charles. Like, he would not talk this way. First of all, they would not have left everybody hanging that way for a month. They wouldn't have fucked with everybody that way. They weren't those kinds of people. And no one knew where they were. Like, not the family, not the moms, nobody. So they were mostly pretty sure that this was not Charles. But a handful of people were like, I don't know, I've known Charles forever. He can do some weird things. So people were going like back and forth. And the fact that it became a thing on Facebook, this was intriguing, and so that it kind of went viral. Like, the story went viral. Like, missing couples Facebook comes to life all of a sudden and starts rambling off some goofy shit. And then he started rambling off some things that pretty much across the board just did not seem like Charles. So, but the case, because of this, got more notoriety. And, they were saying things like, well, Charles wasn't really much of a Facebook user to begin with. People were reaching out to the police, of course, like saying somebody has hacked or logged into Charles' account. Like, can't we do anything about it? But even with the right search warrant there, or the right warrant in general, there wasn't much that you could do to figure out who's posting and from where. There's a lot of tricky things between that idea and actually making it happen. It's possible, but you basically have to get multiple law enforcement agencies involved, multiple businesses and companies involved. You'd have to clear it with Zuckerberg himself, essentially, to get access to that kind of information. But they were able to get a warrant for the missing couple's cell phone records. And they were able to trace that their last location was Todd Kohlhepp's house. So they went to pay him a visit, and he wasn't around, but after looking around on the property, they discovered Kayla chained up inside a large shipping container. And she was alive, and she said that Kohlhepp hired them to come out to clean the house, like a Craigslist job for hire thing or whatever. Maybe that was just their job. None of the stories ever really specified, but that as soon as they got there, there was like an argument that ensued, and Kohlhepp shot and killed Charles right in front of Kayla. And then he locked her up, basically just kept her as a prisoner for the entire time. The cops looked around the property a little bit more, and they did discover Charles' body. It was somewhat buried. Kohlhepp wasn't around, but they did finally catch up with him a few days later. I think it wasn't too far after they discovered the bodies and rescued Kayla. And at first, he wasn't talking, but he eventually started opening up about things and even said that he knew where the bodies of the victims of the 2003 motorsports shooting were. And remember, there were really no suspects at the time. Not really. They'd chased down a few dead-end leads, but... and then he even said that later on, as he was talking with investigators, he said there were 2 other bodies buried on his property, which they found and identified as 2 other missing people that had been gone for a couple of years at that point. The reason I think this story made headlines was, around the world, was that during the investigation, police discovered items that could be used nefariously that Kohlhepp had ordered through his Amazon account. And he even left some very troubling reviews for these items. And this was...
Very troubling review? Like, what does that mean?
Well, I think this is why Jefferson sent me this story. So here are just a couple of the reviews. So he bought a field knife on Amazon. And this was...
Great for cutting flesh of humans. 4 stars. Would recommend to a friend.
Basically.
Oh, my God. No. I'm sorry.
No, this was a tiny quote of a longer portion. But he said, I haven't stabbed anyone yet, ... Yet, ... But I'm keeping the dream alive. And when I do, it will be with a quality tool like this. Now, we've talked about these fake Amazon reviews, and people. It's in a way it's starting to taint the review process because a lot of people just get on there and plant these little Easter eggs for other people to discover, and it just becomes this ongoing joke. So I imagine that 99% of the people that read that, if they read it at all, they would have just interpreted it as that, right? I would have. Sure. Like, wow, creep, but kind of funny.
Yeah.
The next one, this was for a shovel with a folding handle. Keep in car for when you have to hide the bodies and you left the full-size shovel at home.
Wow, that's fucking eerie.
And one last one, and this harkens back to the story of Kayla, of course. This was for a pack of padlocks. He left solid locks. Have 5 on a shipping container. Won't stop them, but sure will slow them down till they're too old to care. So this is one of 150 reviews that Kohlhepp left on Amazon. Now, some of them are just like Blu-ray reviews and, electronics. But a lot of them are, in a way, like they keep tying him to other... Like they're using this as part of his investigation. Now, he was sentenced for the killing of, like I said, I believe 7 or 8 people. But he has talked about other bodies, and he's not really sure where he buried them, or he's not being cooperative until they make some sort of a deal. So they're sifting through all of these Amazon reviews just to see if there's anything that pops out. And so far, there have been like dozens of things where it's like he was straight up not being ironic there. Like that wasn't a joke. He had 5 padlocks on that shipping container. And he knew that ultimately it wouldn't keep them in forever. But I guess his idea was to keep them in there until they were too old to care. And the dude just seemed like he didn't seem like a typical... Of course, we don't know how many victims are out there at this point. But it seemed like going back through the investigation, he was talking to his mother. The whole time, he seemed to be very fixated on his mother. Surprise, surprise. But he confided in Mother about a lot of these crimes, apparently, and she knew the whole time, which is a real dilemma, right? I mean, I don't know what this woman's like. I don't know what her ethics are, but I know that a mother's first instinct and probably first natural job is to protect and shelter their children. So what do you do when you know that one of your children is a very bad man and has done very bad things. I imagine this happens a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be too quick to judge that woman for not coming forward, if that makes sense. It's easy for me to say, like, Jesus, woman, yeah, okay, so he killed a couple because he got into an argument over change at a restaurant or whatever. It seemed like every case he had a reason, quote unquote. I can't remember what the reason with Kayla and Charles was, what the argument was over, but he told Mother that it was essentially he was angry at Kayla for something or other. The motorbike thing, he went in there and shot that place up, again, according to Mother, because Kolep went in there to try to get his money back for something. And it was like a ridiculous request. And in his words, Kolep's words, they all laughed at him and wouldn't give him his money back. So he went back and got some fully loaded pistols and came back and shot everybody. Buried them throughout the property of the motorsport. I think a couple of them were off the property. But anyway, there's so much to this story. There's the creepy Facebook thing where he obviously just got a hold of his phone or something and decided to fuck with everybody. That's something to think about. The fact that he was taunting people or just playing around on Amazon, knowing full, like he left that post about the padlocks while a girl was maybe 10, 15, 20 yards away from him out in the dark, chained up inside a shipping container. He was leaving that review on Amazon while eating a donut at like 12 a.m. probably.
That's nuts.
And then you have the issue that only just occurred to me, like where what do you do when, you know, it's like his mother was his shrink for the entire thing. Like he told her, well, this is why I killed these two, Mother. She was like, you got to stop killing. But
how many times I got to tell you?
Yeah. It's a weird thought though, isn't it? Like, I'm trying to think of what my mom would do. I can't imagine my mom saying, all right, you run and I'll distract the cops, or I'll lie, or I'll do whatever to keep you from being arrested. If I straight up told her, yeah, I killed them. You know, if I went to her and said, I swear to you, I did not kill these people, but they're after me, then absolutely yes. I think my mom would protect me and hide me if she believed me. But if I straight up told her that I'd killed like 6 people, but here's why, Mother. First of all, they wouldn't refund my money. I would like to believe that my mom would be like, look, I'm going to pray for you, but you got to come forward about this, and I got to come forward. I can't imagine my mom sitting on that. At the same time, I know the mother instinct is a strong one, and I thought that was it's an interesting thing to think about, at least. And again,
well, that's to be taken in somewhat into account, but I also think that we're obviously probably not dealing with people that are operating with a full deck here.
You never know. Like that was my first thought too, but it's so funny because this was a thought that we brought up the Mackenzie Cowell case a couple of times. This is the local murder case. I was just driving by maybe an hour ago. The salon that Chris Wilson? I think it was the name of the kid that ultimately was tried and convicted and sentenced in that killing. His mom or his parents owned a salon on my drive home. I pass it all the time. They no longer own it. But I just drove by that and I was thinking, God, those parents seem perfectly normal. Now, we don't know that case is odd. That might be a bad example. But you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe the kid did it, maybe he didn't. Maybe he admitted because he knew. He claimed that he was admitting it because he knew that it was his best bet. Things weren't looking good for him, and he could either get out of prison in, I think it was like 11 or 12 years, or risk going for life, or like 60 years. But, you know, we know people who have gone south that were raised by seemingly decent folk, but I wonder how many mothers especially out there, parents in general out there, guardians, or anybody, like best friends, sisters, people out there that are guarding these secrets, knowing that their loved ones did atrocious things, but that nesting and family instinct is more powerful than man's law, which I would imagine it is in most cases, right?
I don't know.
Interesting indeed. And it really made me think about all those reviews that I've just come across. It was like, well, that's an interesting cadence. That's a strange trick of phrase right there. Who knows who's writing this shit? Who knows who is online? I think about it all the fucking time. I remember when I first got on social media, I would engage in like bullshit, like political debates. Back when I thought I cared about most shit like that.
Or when you thought it mattered, that what you said on Facebook.
It mattered, yeah, or that I thought I knew anything about anything. At one point, it just occurred to me, it's like, I have no idea who I'm talking to. I have no idea where they're at.
For real.
Or where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea. What the fuck am I doing poking this creature who is obviously spending an awful lot of time and anger and passion at their computer to write these elongated responses? Why am I continuing to
poke the bear
when I can just go away? And
totally.
Going away is almost always the right answer, I find, when you're dealing with people online and strangers, and things get heated, and it's just like, fuck, you don't know anything about anything, man. Anyone could be out there. But this is just one dude in all the lives that he's fucked up. And the weirdness of his smarmy, like, I'm going to get on Amazon and leave cutesy little reviews. And I'm going to get on his Facebook. It's just fucked up. It's like right out of a movie. Like, this is something that a maniacal, one of those clever, maniacal bad guys would do.
They called him the Yelp Stabber.
I'm sure the Yelp Stabber exists.
Well, it does
he gave us 1 star, and then he gave us 2 knives.
He gave us 1 star, and then he gave him 2 knives.
And we did,
That's a perfect
fact, Yelp.
Poster tagline.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dear. Anyway, what you guys got?
You know, I got a nice news quiz for you, but I did have one thing. It's not really a story, more of a statistic I just read in a headline that is making me go, a little bit. Mm-hmm. Do you guys ever use Uber Eats?
Nope.
No.
Haven't used it, no. Doesn't mean I won't.
Holy shit.
Well, I'm not a good candidate for that because I can't eat any of the fun food, so I'm not going to send them out for a $15 raw almond mission.
Me and Bridget were using Uber Eats a lot for a period because neither of us really enjoy cooking all that much, but like probably 3 times a week we were Uber eating meals to us. So really common, super popular over here.
Yeah, Caleb and Christina just did it for some Carl's Jr. when we were doing our yard sale over at Radar Station. I think it's a great fucking concept.
It's really neat. So here's an interesting statistic. Here's a study that was dropped. 28% of delivery drivers have eaten your food, specifically for Uber Eats and DoorDash, etc.
Yeah,
28%. That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's why I would use that service. I feel like somebody would be poking your food, you know.
Yeah, like I just don't know if I want that. Really troubles me.
I have a hard time with.
So here's the thing: they have to qualify, like. You can't just say they ate it. There has to be like qualifying or quantifying reasons, or you know what I mean, information about what exactly happened there. Is it food? Are they eating food that didn't get delivered? Are they eating food that, you know what I mean?
I think it's exactly what it sounds like. No, I think it's they're opening it up and having themselves a little taste,
stealing some fries.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt that it's happening.
But like
that seems like a high percentage, though.
Yeah, it does, right? And that's just who was willing to admit it, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So you can bump that up another 10%.
Yeah,
little slurp out of your shake.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, dude.
Well, see, this is going to change the way they're going to have to do things. This is going to cause packaging in the same way that we used to be able to go buy aspirin, and you could just walk down to the aisle, pick up a tube, pop off the cap, steal a couple aspirin, pop it back on. Once all those people start dying from what was it, the Tylenol?
Yeah, Tylenol.
Someone was like pouring cyanide or something, and it killed a lot of people. That was a big fucking deal. That was where we got these ridiculous to open childproof caps, and then the seal around that. And, there are all these protective things. But it's funny because there are products that have that, where it takes you a half an hour to get into certain medicines or certain foods, and then other foods like the ice cream, which we're seeing this be taken advantage of too. Some ice cream you can just walk into the freezer, lift up the lid. There's no seal. You lift up the lid, and then there's the bare ice cream. So people are going around licking the tops of ice creams and putting them back and putting that on YouTube. One girl just got arrested for doing that.
I saw that the Blue Bell liquor they called it, I believe.
And so they're all. But
so
the fix
different
is
from the movie I saw called the Blue Ball liquor.
The Blue Ball liquor. I'd watch both.
Liquor.
Ooh,
I'd watch both while eating Blue Bell. All you would have to do there is put stricter packaging around the lid. Now it sucks, and it's environmentally shitty, and it's more money for everybody. It's not like they're just going to eat that. They're going to bump up the packaging or bump up the retail price of the ice cream so that they can. But this is how it goes. So eventually we're going to see fast food being delivered in something with some sort of, it'll be like a Game of Thrones Raven seal. It's like if the seal is broken, whoever delivered it is getting their head cut off. So if the Golden Arches, and it's amazing that we're going down this road, if the Golden Arches seal was broken, you would the Uber driver would be held responsible or held accountable for that food molestation, or at the very least reimbursing them for the money and possibly losing their job. But this is how it's going to happen. We all know the intoxicating I think of a cartoon, any cartoon where somebody just like put a freshly baked pie in the windowsill to cool, and you see the steam come off and it forms into a hand and like cradles Bugs Bunny toward it or whatever, whoever.
They start floating towards it.
Mm-hmm. It's like, come closer, bunny rabbit. That's this fast food. I swear to God, they got scientists working around the clock to make that shit amazingly smell good.
Oh, they do, for sure.
So can you imagine getting in a car all night long, smelling first McDonald's, then you deliver it, then you're heading back to Burger King.
Right?
Then maybe
that's what I'm talking about. That 28%'s taking a little taste of my chicken nug nugs. I'm not having it no more.
all you need is one. All you need is a couple fries out of that.
Well, you got
to
count. The fries are one thing, but if you order a 10-piece chicken nuggets and you get 9, then there's a problem.
Yeah,
I think they would be smart enough to not go. But I'm sure we've talked.
We're talking about people here, Ron.
Yeah, you're right. Because when we worked at Godfather's Pizza, we would always, if we wanted a piece or two here and there, I'm a little ashamed to admit, we would just chop up the pie, grab a couple pieces, 1 or 2 slivers, the smallest pieces, of course, and then just sort of push it back together. Sure, there'd be a little gap here and there, and then slide it into the old the box.
You are fucking part of that 28% prob, bro.
Well, I feel like if you're going to molest the food, I would prefer that it be at the source than en route to me. Does that make sense? Like, I would prefer the cook, the cook. That's precious. Who put my McDonald's fries into a paper cup? I would like to think that their hands are relatively clean, but either way, I'm already accepting that damage, right? So yeah, knock a couple fries back out of my bag, take a couple pieces of pizza out of my jumbo pie. I'm not going to notice. That's fair in my book. I mean, it's not fair, but whatever. But reaching in the back of your car when you're cruising down the road, I know you ain't sterile. First of all, I know you ain't sterile in that condition. I don't care how clean your car is. You're in your car. You're touching your steering wheel. Maybe you needed to get gas on the way. You do not have a 3-bay sink in your back seat, I promise you. So by the time that shit gets to you, that's next level molestation.
Yeah.
You're on the phone getting directions, Ron. Ooh, gross.
What's that?
I said you're on the phone getting directions.
Oh, God, yeah. Jesus, that's all you need to say. The phone.
I've never really
phone to pizza.
used one of these services, but is like a tip built in, or do you like include that?
You include it either, depending on the app, you include it before delivery or after.
So this is what you do: you wait till they get there, and you like, "Did you eat any of my food, motherfucker?" And if they say yes, you're like, "No tip for you. That's your tip, buddy." So
I'd be amazed if they said yes. It's like, I cannot tell a lie. I'm the George Washington of Uber Eats.
I think that if you asked them that, they might be so taken aback that they might admit to the truth.
I cut down the cherry pie. Well, I think that it's going to be French fries and
maybe a sip of your
God,
cola.
you can order anything though. We're being too narrow minded, I think, because you can order anything. You could get like a fettuccine, a bowl of fettuccine.
Yeah.
No, can you imagine someone double dipping their fork into your fettuccine?
Yes, this is where I have probs, guys. I can't fucking get behind this no mo.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that this is going to cause a change in the industry. Or maybe it just makes Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that go away. I did see an expose on DoorDash recently. That was very, very unflattering and very unappetizing, where they did like surprise inspections on the cars. And so many of them look like my back seat. Now, my back seat is a fucking disaster because my life is a fucking disaster. There's a million things back there, and I don't know what any of them are. But I'm not delivering your food. When someone is signing up to deliver your food, you want a certain level of kempt. And, what they found was pretty brutal. But they also, deduced that a lot of... And people were just getting their shit and filming it right out, like they were filming the entire exchange, getting their bags. You can see all this on YouTube. Of course, anything could be staged, but it seemed pretty legit. Getting the bag from DoorDash, open it up, and there's 4 chicken nuggets. It's like nobody sells a 4 chicken nugget. So that's pretty brazen when you are taking
a 4-piece chicken nugget,
a couple of things where the count of the item is in the name of the product. It's amazing that came up again, because I'm going to do a McDonald's-related quiz for y'all here in a bit.
They need to do there needs to be like a reality show with Gordon Ramsay where they order like Uber Eats or DoorDash or Postmates or something, and then
eating it, donkey.
He checks out the status of their delivery vehicle, and he reams them out if their car is too dirty or whatever.
Kill somebody. By the way, my Gordon Ramsay definitely sounded like Shrek.
Yeah, totally.
Donkey.
It sounded totally like that.
Well, yeah. Like I was going to say, though, either it's going to kill these businesses or the fast food industry will realize that they're selling more goods, especially now that pot's being legalized in more and more places. Like, $28 for a Big Mac, large fry, couple nugs. That seems like a good idea tonight. They are going to, and I'm not mocking you, by the way, Chris. Trust me, there are many nights that I would absolutely pay $10, maybe $15 for a delivery charge to get
Beaner stoners are real
tasty, delicious food delivered to me, and I don't smoke pot. But
what sucks is it's $1 million idea. If you could,
it's the best idea.
If you
literally
just shippingware, so you go to McDonald's, you get a brown bag. So like you do the Uber Eats and they stick it in some type of tray that's sealable, that if it's opened or not. They could do it in house, send it out, and people are going to
the packaging changes $1 billion.
Yeah, you think like a Olive Garden or something like that. They're going to make something that's going to be like a container.
It's just
all you need is a seal, right?
Exactly.
All you need is a seal that's tough to break.
It's as simple as a wax seal. I hereby seal this with my signature.
Yeah,
for sure.
The golden arches seal of the Raven.
It's gonna carry word, and people are just gonna use that. They're gonna trust it. You know what I mean?
It'd be like, wait a minute, the seal was broke, and there's jizz on it. Then not to go forth with confidence.
I did not order that special sauce.
You didn't order extra ranch? Manch, we calls it. Anybody? Manch? Yeah, it's troubling because we can't have nice things. We want to be able to just kick back at home and get shit delivered. But God, almost nobody is trustworthy.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well, tune in next week.
Except us. Except us.
I was just about to say, myself included. I mean, I've been there. I wouldn't do that now, but I certainly did it then. And the age I was then is the age that most people doing these jobs are. So we've done things really strangely where we put so much faith and hope into like the dumbest people. Like who are we ultimately trusting with our food? Like 19 to 24-year-olds. I didn't trust me back then. I barely trust me now. But I certainly wouldn't trust me back then. And yet we put these people in charge of so many key things. And we just rely upon them. Like billion-dollar industries boil down to, hello, sir, can I take your order? And like whatever happens within those walls, that's the face and ultimately the true decider of what happens with that billion-dollar business. Think about how rich the people at the top of the McDonald's food chain.
Old Ronald.
And ultimately it comes down to these minimum wage teenagers, again, for the most part, have no interest in your safety, your health, your satisfaction, for that matter. They're just like, give me the fuck on to the next job and get me the fuck out of here for tonight so I can go get my dick sucked, play some video games, fall asleep, start it over again tomorrow. This is ultimately who is in charge of these billion-dollar companies. It's a fascinating thing, and it's one more push toward robots. Like, listen, would you trust an Uber Eats or DoorDash robot more than you would 19-year-old Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, wouldn't you? I mean, everyone would.
I would trust a robot with most anything over here.
Robot's not going to eat
not
your
everything,
fries.
most of it.
Yeah.
Robot's not going to eat your fucking fries. That does not compute. They are programmed. Forget Asimov's law. I want the Ronald McDonald law. You must program these robots to not eat your fries. Don't go sifting through your porn. Whatever you're hiring people to deliver you because you are either embarrassed or too tired to go get it. Do not train the robots to have an interest in what you're up to.
It's actually kind of funny. I just had a thought, like Teslas. They basically drive themselves. If they had just basically cars that would drive around with your food, like on a conveyor belt, it'd just drive up to your house. You'd go out and get it. It would come out on the conveyor belt. You grab it, and it takes off to its next stop.
That's coming.
Or drones.
I'm sure.
We talked about the Amazon barges. Those are coming eventually. So what? Yeah. What if eventually we don't have any cooks? It's just floating sky barges of fast food. You put in your order, the robots make it, and they send down a little drone, dropping it off at your porch. That can't be that far away, right?
Oh, God. Give it to me.
Far enough.
Give it. Bring it to Daddy. Bring me the burger drone. Burger drone. That could be the first. That's the first restaurant.
Burger drone.
Burger drone. Man. Yeah. I would eat a burger drone.
This might be on. You might be onto something here.
Hey, we need burgers. I have drones.
Mm-hmm.
We can make it happen.
It's a fine name. Burger drone is a fine fucking name.
That should be our next T-shirt.
Burger drone. Yeah, I can bust that up.
Yeah, this needs to be a YouTube channel because then I can just make it happen. String up a fucking quarter pounder with my drone.
For some reason, instead of drones, I'm picturing like little skiffs in the sky that just send down Big Macs with a little tiny parachute.
Oh
Yes.
delivery.
Yeah. Ding dong. Burger drone. Yeah, I think we are onto something there. Anybody else got anything before I get on to a little McDonald's related? Actually, before we move on, because this is such a perfect. We'll get back to more news before we turn it over to Chris, but this so perfectly segues into this little mini quiz I want to give you guys, because I was reading a pretty interesting post about failed McDonald's menu items. And some of these have come up. I mean, failed or weird or foreign fast food items have come up on News Quiz or Weird Trivia before. But a lot of these I had not heard of. One of the first, I loved McDonald's when I was younger. Like, it was my favorite of the big 3 or 4 fast food chains, by far. But I stopped eating it, I don't know, when I was around 25 or so. So the earliest weird McDonald's experiment that I could recall was the Arch Deluxe. You guys remember that?
No.
I'm not sure.
The Arch Deluxe was, McDonald's had basically become by the time, even when I was a kid, but certainly it just kind of continued and still is to some degree, it was always branded toward kids. It was like they had the big playground out front, all the toys that came in the Happy Meals. The commercials were always like, looked like banana splits where it was borderline creepy, but it was all these characters that were supposed to be talking to kids, like, come in and get your chicken nuggets. 5 different sauces to choose from. Little baby hamburgers, the Hamburglar, Grimace, all those were toys. The whole thing was like geared toward kids. So at one point in the early 90s, mid-90s, whatever, McDonald's was like, we're probably not utilizing the widest demographic by constantly, like, we pretty much established that, yeah, bring your crying kids through the drive-thru, get them a 6-piece chicken nug. They'll shut the fuck up and sleep on the drive home. They were starting to lose customers in that older category. So their idea was to come up with an adult burger, and that was the Arch Deluxe. All it was like a quarter-pounder burger with a slightly fancier bun, and I think they had like their own sort of goopy mustard sauce. It was really boring. It was just a boring hamburger, but the idea was that it wasn't like that sugary, super smooth bun that you get on the cheeseburgers, or, it wasn't chicken nuggets that often were marketed to kids. That was my favorite thing when I was a kid. So they marketed it, and the commercials were like, it had a bunch of little kids like, I don't want that. So their entire campaign was like, hey, everyone that we've been marketing to for 30 fucking straight years, you hate this burger. Come on in and get it. Parents. It didn't work. But most importantly, it was just not that interesting of a burger. It was just like a boring burger. But anyway, so most of these I hadn't heard of, and this list is international, so keep that in mind. But most of these were done right here in the U.S. Now, I'm going to give you 3 choices in each question or round. This won't be that long of a game. And you'll need to guess which of these 3 items that I made up. The other
texting you?
Yeah. Well, no, we'll go in order here. And the other 2 are actual McDonald's fails.
Yeah, it's making me all fucking kinds of hungry.
Oh, I know. Researching this list was making me fucking hungry.
I haven't been able to eat McDonald's since I quit smoking. Yeah, I can't.
You taste too much of it.
It just tastes like shit. I threw it away.
Interesting.
Yeah, my favorite's like a double quarter pounder. Love that burger, and I was eating it, and I was like, this is just disgusting. And I had like 2 bites at it, and I had to throw it away.
I remember, when John Mark and I went to go see, I think it was Fellertack and High on Fire, you got some McDonald's as we were heading out of town, and I was like, damn, that smells good. It still fucking smells good, man. Driving by McDonald's is like, oh, I could use me some of them shits. And I like junk food. Like, I like the idea of it. I don't care that it's cancer in a bun. I mean, I do, but at the same time, I like it. It's a slab of Americana. It's a slab of my youth. It's nostalgic. And there's something about fast food that I just think is so uniquely American, even though I'm pretty sure it doesn't need to be this toxic, but I don't know. I'm not like one of these anti-fast food people, but for me, I was just like, I became more health conscious, and I just couldn't imagine putting that stuff in my body anymore, but I do miss it. All right, so first off, let's go, let's do this. Let's do John Mark first, since he is the reigning champion in these quizzes. And then we'll do Christopher, since he doesn't get the benefit of playing quizzes very often. And we'll end with Lyle. And it's just like we would do Weird Trivia. You guys can pick the same answers if you want. But this is just for fun, anywho. Unlike Glory for the Weird Trivia, which that is very, very serious. So in the mid-1980s, McDonald's started experiencing the downward trend in their numbers, and they were blaming that lack of increase on other fast food restaurants and other restaurants in general, which is true. You can remember a time where most towns, even bigger cities, they really only had like a handful, like 4 or 5 fast food restaurants. Now, I think if you ask somebody to list 30 of them, you probably could relatively easy if you gave it some thought. They're everywhere now. But also just more and more mom and pa restaurants, more and more chain restaurants, things like Olive Garden, Applebee's, all of these were popping up around then and becoming more ubiquitous. So they thought that if they offered a wider variety of cuisines, they would be able to match some of what these restaurants were offering. So they began to introduce new menu items to try to cover these bases. Now, which one of these items never made it onto the Golden Arches menu? A.
Never made it, so did not make it on.
Yeah, you're choosing the one that I made up. The other two are real. Is it A, the McSpaghetti? A heaping pile of pasta with special Mickey D's marinara sauce. The McSpaghetti. Is it B, the McPizza? A family-sized pepperoni pie for only $5.99. Or was it C, the McPot Roast? A styrofoam bowl with a slab of beef, homestyle gravy, and mashers for $4 measly.
What the fuck? What future are we living in?
I don't know. I know. It also this is like this whole thing is like a alternate universe McDonald's.
I get to guess first which one you made up.
Yeah. So McSpaghetti, McPizza, or McPot Roast.
I'm gonna go from McPot Roast.
You're gonna guess that McPot Roast wasn't added to the menu. Okay.
Yeah.
Christopher?
Man, none of these are ringing any real bells for me as remembering these things. And I was
surprised when
as a fat kid, I loved me some Mickey D's. So, my gut at first I was like, McSpaghetti, come on, but I think that's something wacky enough they might have done. I'm gonna go with the pot roast as well.
You're going with McPot Roast as well.
Damn, son.
All right.
Damn, son. I'm gonna go with
just. Seems impossible.
I'm gonna go with fucking Ron Spaghetti.
Yeah,
the McSpaghetti.
Ron Spaghetti.
Arms, knees are weak. Ron Spaghetti.
Ron Spaghetti.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you guys the answers as we go. Christopher and John Mark were absolutely right. I did make up the McPot Roast. Yeah, you can still get the McSpaghetti in the Philippines, apparently, where it found its calling.
Unbelievable.
But there was a McPizza, and I think there are one or two. I read there are one or two still in America. A couple of restaurants. I think they both might be in Ohio, where you can still get the original recipe McPizza. Yeah, there actually was two versions. There was a personal one for just a couple bucks, and then the family-sized pepperoni pizza for $5.99.
I remember that. It seemed like to me like it was kind of a ripoff for how much they wanted for it.
You thought $6 was too much for a family meal?
That was around when we used to hang out down at that arcade that was right next to
That's
McDonald's.
true. Listen, by the time we had, and this goes back to McDonald's quandary here, by the time we had like AM, PM, you could walk into an AM, I don't know what it's like now, but when we were kids and were willing to eat anything, you could go into an AM, PM with $5 and feed an entire band.
Live like a fucking king.
Like 2 hot dogs, a corn dog, all the sauces, maybe a burrito on your way out, and a couple of single cigarettes. Those were the golden years, my friends. And the little cheeseburgers, there's something wrong with that food, but it was there. It was ready for you. And there were, there's only one thing that tasted like an AM PM burger, and that was an AM PM burger.
Oh my god, dude!
That's the truth.
You're bringing weird memories back to me.
Yeah,
My
remember
mouth
the
is
little
salivating
relish
right now.
Yeah,
Mine was always 7-Eleven nachos.
And those weird rubbery pickles. Yep.
Yep.
You know what the
7-Eleven
grossest fucking
nachos
thing-
are on that same course.
You know what the grossest fucking thing you can get at 7-Eleven right now is that I absolutely love, that I never get, is the cheeseburger dog. We talked about this before?
No.
Oh, but it sounds delicious though.
Yeah,
It's
I'm in.
basically a hot dog that looks like it's a cheesy cheeseburger that's been shaped into a hot dog shape.
I'll look into it. This is what I'm saying. I love this shit. I know it's filled with chemicals that are going to kill me, but all the good things are. And even the natural stuff that we love is in excess not good for us. So, yeah, I'm on team AM PM burger for sure. Those fucking hot dogs. They were 2 for 99 cents, son. 2 hot dogs. And then you could put all the relish and the little onion, the minced onion on it. The ketchup and mustard packets were free. 2 for 99 cents.
No wonder you fucking shit your pants the first time you got a blowjob. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, how many AM PM hot dogs am I? About 6. Yeah, I'm good for my first blowjob ever. Zip. Trouble. AM, PM, BM. Know what I'm saying?
Oh my god!
All right,
well,
so
it's not gonna get any better than that.
so Christopher and John Mark are tied at 1. We got a few more questions though. So we've stumbled upon some gems here tonight. I hope that backup's working out. All right, so question 2. By the late 1980s, everyone was getting a bit more health conscious, as we were just talking about, and fast food in general was suffering for it. And, this is when we started to see salads and fruits offered as alternative side substitutes. But also we had some quote-unquote healthful menu items, and these were schemed, but for the semi-health conscious eater, I suppose. Which one of these healthy menu options never made it to the McDonald's market? Was it A, the Little Mac? This is essentially a significantly smaller Big Mac with reduced fat dressing and served on whole wheat buns. Was it B, the Hula Burger? This is essentially a regular burger served with a grilled slice of pineapple instead of the slab of meat, and topped with, the usual American cheese. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Uh-huh. Or was it the McLean? A burger that McDonald's touted as being 91% fat-free. Which one of these is complete bullshit? John Mark, get us started.
What was the first one?
The Little Mac.
Little Mac, Hula Mac, and the Lean Mac.
The Little Mac, the Hula Burger, and the McLean.
Hula Burger. The McLean. I'm going to go with the Little Mac.
You think that I made up Little Mac? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
God damn it. I wanted Little Mac too, but fuck.
You can choose Little Mac.
I'm going to choose Little Mac. I'm going to regret this.
Okay.
I got regrets.
All right. Well, we'll see. We shall see.
I feel like the pineapple one was bullshit, but there's a hint of truth. I remember a type of a burger like that. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm going to put you down for Hula Burger. Well, John Mark and Christopher might be onto my shenanigans. I actually thought I might have been a little too obvious with Little Mac, but come on. Wouldn't you order a Little Mac? A smaller Big Mac with whole wheat buns and a low-fat dressing. So you both get another point. Now, Lyle, you're right. Well, you're wrong, but you're right. And that the Hula Burger was a real thing. That goes all the way back to the 60s. Actually, that was when Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, well, no, not the founder, the guy that bought it from the McDonald brothers and made it what it is today, which you can see in a pretty interesting movie called The Founder, starring Michael Keaton as Ray Kroc.
Somebody else just told me to watch this movie. That's funny.
Yeah, it's good, and it will make you want McDonald's. So be prepared with some burgers or anything to satisfy that hunger. Otherwise, you'll be Uber Eats.
Fire up your Uber Eats ordering finger.
Yeah, you'll be calling up Uber Eats for a Little Mac, maybe 2 or 3.
Make it a night.
But that's what it was. It was that was their answer. Their first answer to a health conscious eating audience, eating population, was to replace a piece of meat with a grilled slab of pineapple. You can look up
the Hula Burger
and see the old commercials about it. The Hula Burger. Now we've all seen, and maybe this is why it was familiar to you as well, Lyle. We've all seen burgers with pineapple on. They're usually like a cowabunga or whatever. But the McLean was an interesting story as well, because people were like, how the fuck can a full-size meat patty be 90% lean? And the McLean ended up being a pretty key story in the McDonald's pantheon, because as it turns out, among other, like chemicals and compounds and methods of adding water to the meat, they were basically replacing almost 70% of the burger with ground seaweed. Yeah, look it up, folks. Well, to be specific, it was an enzyme, some sort of protein that was taken from seaweed, but it was essentially seaweed. You were eating seaweed burgers. That was the only way they could come up with at the time. You know,
The
soy.
burger of the future.
So soy was way more expensive back then than it is now. So they wouldn't have been dabbling with that until years later. But yeah, once that was learned, bye-bye to the McLean, because no one wanted a seaweed burger. All right, well, you guys may be on to me, but this one might be the deciding factor. Although, no, I got a couple more. So, question 3. Ethnic diversity was something that the powers that be at McDonald's were interested in dabbling with. And while doing so, they took a couple of missteps. Which one of these ethnic meals did I make up? Is it A, the McGoulash, a zesty Hungarian-style goulash with macaroni, beef, and potatoes? Was it B, the McAfrica, a zesty African-inspired burger served on pita bread in honor of the motherland? Was it C, the McGratin croquette? This was hoping to appeal to the Asian market. This was a deep-fried macaroni, shrimp, and mashed potatoes burger.
What?
Yeah.
I think we've gone overseas, boys.
We've done gone overseas. So, John Mark, was it the McGoulash, the McAfrica, or the McGratin croquette?
I'm going with McAfrica.
You're going to say that I made up McAfrica. Okay.
Man, I wanted to say McAfrica, but that just sounds like it could be bad. God,
It's in the 80s, who knows?
McAfrica. Fuck you, McDonald's, or fuck you, Ron.
You say it.
I'm gonna go with the McGoulash.
Okay.
Okay, it's McAfrica, but I'm going McGoulash.
McGoulash. Okay. Lyle, what say you?
I'm going to go with the first one.
You're going to go with the McGoulash as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Lyle and Christopher are 100% right. Christopher has been kicking ass in this.
I'm telling you, bad kid.
Yeah.
I thought I could remember hearing about some kind of McGoulash over in Eastern Europe somewhere, but
Well, they definitely dabbled in soups, but I never saw Hungarian goulash. I even searched for it to make sure that I wasn't abstaining from, an answer that was actually correct. But the McAfrica was absolutely real, and it was the biggest hurdle it had. Actually, was being released like right in the middle of one of the biggest in modern times, one of the biggest droughts and famines in much of Africa. So it really rubbed people the wrong way. That at the height of that being on the news, you could very easily see an advertisement for the McAfrica. And then back to news. Another 100,000 people died this month from the drought. So yeah, the McAfrica. And it just doesn't roll. I've stumbled on it like 3 times tonight. The McAfrica doesn't really roll off the tongue. But they just can't help themselves with the naming schemes here. All right, so we have John Mark 2, Christopher 3, and Lyle 1. But where it gets interesting here is I had already planned on making this final question worth 2 points because there are not 3, not 4, but 5 answers for you to choose from. So this is just miscellaneous items to choose from. Which seemingly unlikely McDonald's item did I make up from this list? So listen carefully. Is it A, the McHot Dog? Pretty clear on what that would be. B, Fish McNuggets. Same great batter, but rolled around little cod bites.
Oh, wow. How quickly my salivating glands went from delicious to vomit.
Is it C, onion nuggets? Again, similar to the McNugget, but simply battered and fried chunks of onions. Is it D,
No.
the McNacho box?
No, I can't stop it.
Box of warm corn chips, melted cheese sauce, and your choice of chopped burger or chicken on top.
Oh, fuck you.
Or is it D? Or is it E, the McLobster? A Cape Cod style shredded fish and mayo Sammy served on a hoagie roll.
You're dirty.
So one more time around the horn. A, the McHot Dog, B, the McFish Nuggets, C, the Onion McNuggets, D, the Mr. Nacho, the McNacho Box, or E, the McLobster? John Mark, what say you?
God, you know, my initial response was like, of course they did a McHot Dog. But now after hearing all those other options, I want to say that I could see them doing all that wacky shit and not just doing a hot dog. Yeah. Although the onions mystify me because it's like, well, we've got onion rings, but do they just want to try something different with the onion nugs? Mm-hmm. I'm going with the McHot Dog, is what I'm saying.
You think that made up the hot dog? Okay. Have you seen? By the way, have you seen the founder, John Mark?
I don't. You know, it sounds really familiar, and I can't remember if I watched it or not. Honestly.
No. I feel like I can't remember if we talked about it. There's something I thought. There's a lot of moments in there that I think you would enjoy specifically. But you guys should all watch that movie.
I want to say that I have, but I don't remember.
It was on Netflix last anymore. I checked, but you know things come and go so quickly. But anyway, Christopher, what say you? McHot Dog, McFish Nuggets, Onion McNuggets, McNacho Box, or the McLobster?
You know, I'm really torn, and let me tell you my thought process here.
Sure.
The fucking fish chicky nugs. What the fuck? That's just not right. That just feels wrong. But
well, it would to you.
I was a solid fish chicky nug until I heard about this bullshit nacho box.
The McNacho Box.
Hit me with the nacho box one more time. Just
a box of warm corn chips, melted cheese sauce. Well, maybe so. With McDonald's,
28% of the time, it's warm.
Warm corn chips, melted cheese sauce, and your choice of chopped burger or chicken on top.
Sounds totally legit.
I gotta go with that because I just don't think McDonald's has a nachos game or ever has. It's just, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Lyle.
God damn.
What's up?
I'm thinking.
This has
been good. What? This has been interesting. I'm going to go with the lobster because I just don't think McDonald's did the lobster game.
Yeah. Well, I'm impressed, Christopher. You have swept the game. And because that one was a 2-pointer, that brings you to 5 points, to John Mark's 2, and to Lyle's 1. You dominated the get the fuck off my McDonald's menu game. Yes, believe it or not, McLobster is a thing, and it's actually still in, of all these discontinued items, and discontinued obviously is a bit of a misnomer in this case because some of them are still available in like 1 or 2 restaurants here and there. But by and large, we don't see them. But the McLobster had its day, much like the McDLT. It had a little run, and then everyone complained about the packaging and the ethics involved with it more than the dish itself. But I think ultimately, most people just didn't trust Mickey D's to come through on the shellfish game. Right, because there's food poisoning, and then there's shellfish food poisoning.
And then there's gas station sushi food poisoning.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a very similar thing where we will eat a burger from AM PM that could have been sitting there all week. We don't know. We don't care. Get a couple of the 2 hot dogs for 99 cents. Something got to be wrong there, but we're grabbing them. But you put some tofu next to that shit, or a tuna melt, and no all day long, son. Although I don't really eat those things anyway. But so it's an easy double no for me. But anyway, yeah, believe it or not, onion nuggets and fish nuggets and the McHot. The reason I asked about had you seen the Founders, because there's a scene where, you know, McDonald's started with the McDonald brothers, and I think they only had 1, maybe 2 locations in California by the time Ray Kroc came around. Now, Ray Kroc was a salesman. He was selling all sorts of stuff. But at this particular time, he was selling a new fandangled milkshake machine that made like 8 milkshakes at once. It was like for a high volume restaurant. And everyone was like, who the fuck wants 8 milkshakes at once? Like, well, you get the fuck out of here. He finally met up with the McDonald's brothers, and they're like, our business is taking the fuck off. We're onto something. We need 8 milkshakes at the same time. So they bought that machine, and then Ray Kroc was seeing what was going on. So he ultimately, it was some shenanigans, a little bit of controversy here, but you can see that all in the movie. It's pretty accurate from what I've read. He takes over, and he basically, it's a 3-way partnership at first. And his first thing was to start franchising, but what he did was he would buy property. He didn't buy brick and mortar. He left that to the McDonald's brothers, but this is how he got ahead of the game, and you'll see that happening in the movie as you follow the story. But that is a separate topic. But what he really saw the vision for, probably before anybody else in the fast food industry, or maybe even the food industry in general, and the chain, was the importance of consistency. So, what we know now, like you can go into a McDonald's in rural Wenatchee, Washington, and your food's going to be relatively the same, and your choices are going to be relatively the same as to what you would get at McDonald's in Canada or McDonald's in Florida. And so when he first started opening these franchises, he would hire managers to run the franchises. Well, the managers would basically run it as if it was their own restaurant. So if one manager liked barbecue, he would add barbecue ribs to the menu. And one manager added corn dogs and hot dogs, and Ray Kroc lost his shit. He's like, get that shit off the fucking menu. We don't serve hot dogs. We don't serve spare ribs. We serve burgers, fries, and milkshakes. That was before, any of the nuggets and all that stuff came along. But it's an interesting story, and I thought it was funny that hot dogs were something that McDonald's eventually got around to. Basically, they got around to just about everything. And why they didn't do a McNacho box, McDonald's has dabbled in things like that.
Tacos?
Yeah,
Tacos?
yeah, there is a McDonald's taco, but it wasn't.
What?
It was never really a widespread thing, so I didn't include it in the quiz. I thought it was kind of a cheat, but anyway, there you have it, the McDonald's menu quiz. So before we get on to some weird trivia with Christopher S. Hart, wow, back there. Does anyone have any more news?
I found a pretty cool story. I thought it was over in Europe, but there was 2 metal detectors guys, and they were basically spending their time on these rural lands, these local farm lands and stuff with their metal detectors. And they ended up finding actually this little hoard of Viking treasure. And it manifested of Saxon gold and silver ingots, jewelry, like an arm bracelet and a crystal ball worn as a pendant. And it all dated back between the 400 to 800 AD. And they believe that the Viking, whoever buried it, was over 1,000 years ago. So it's been sitting down on this farmer's property for a long, long ass time. Well, they tried to sell it because it was what they were predicting it was probably worth about $15 million. And they were arrested, and they were fucking goddamn near guillotined by this judge. One of them got sentenced for 10 years, and the other one got sentenced for 8.5. And I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about it, but he was basically just saying, you've robbed, this whole, village, the homeowner and everything else, of these treasures, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not sure if they had permission to do it or whatnot, but apparently, if you find stuff like that and treasure like that, you're supposed to turn it into your local fucking coroner's office. Cool. I had no idea. Yeah.
That's a surprise. Good to know.
That's weird.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, if I found treasure, I found fucking treasure. Finders keepers. Isn't that written in treasure law?
I would think so.
Isn't it insane, to think about how much treasure is just out there? Mm-hmm. And not just treasure to some group of people at some period in time, but treasure that, gold, silver, jewels, or even, antiquities, just pieces or relics of times past in and of itself is treasure. Like, imagine how much is just buried. 90% of it's at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. But just think about how much of that is out there. There was that show on, History or Discovery that was like treasure hunters, and they spent most of their time looking through water. But I don't know why it went away. Maybe it didn't. I just cut the cable. But it seems like a fascinating way to live. Like, you get leads. What's that?
Are you talking about Oak Island?
Well, I'm sure there's a few of them. Well, Oak Island, that's the money pit thing, yeah? Or the money hole?
Yeah, the money pit, the money hole. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, all over the fucking globe. So to do this life, you would basically just, it's like being an investigator. Like cold case files or something. You'd be digging through libraries in New Zealand and taking phone calls from Saskatchewan. And you'd be all over the place following leads and investigating and looking for clues, looking for people that found little things. It'd be an interesting life. There's so much out there that we haven't discovered. There's probably like huge chunks of the history, like major chunks of history of civilization that we haven't even discovered yet that will completely rewrite history.
If you think about like the Nazi war, there were, I remember reading, they were looting all these big high-end mansions and shit. They would fucking steal, the Nazis as it went through and like devoured everything. They would steal all these priceless artifacts and they'd hoard them and keep them. And I remember reading something along the lines like they came across this lake, and they basically had to empty their hoard out into the lake. And I think they went back and tried to find them like years later. But like one of them is like the Amber Room. You ever heard about that?
Boy, that sounds familiar. But what's that?
The Amber Room is basically just like this giant, elaborate room full of amber, and it's all hand carved and put into the room. It was like in this giant, like I don't know if it's like a mansion or whatever. But as they through the war, they went through it and they decided to basically keep it. So they took it out in panels. I mean, maybe I might be wrong with that. I think maybe they were getting invaded, and I think maybe they were they dismantled it, and then it was lost or something like that. It was confiscated, I believe, because I'm pretty sure the Nazis had it in like a castle, and then
I think no one's ever found it.
What's that?
I think no one's ever found it. There was rumors of this that no one's ever come across it.
I actually found it. So you never know. You could find like an old fucking train cart, that's in the middle of nowhere that could have the Amber Room all, packed away inside of it.
Yeah, I remember they thought they'd found that not that long ago, and they made a show about it, or like a one-time thing, but it ended up being like Capone's vault, right? It was just like,
sure. Surprise.
But shit's out there somewhere. There's more undiscovered treasure out there than known treasure, right? Like ancient and historically important treasure, or even just fucking like piratey stuff that's somewhere 3 miles down the ocean.
And it's kind of how you describe treasure. We live in the Pacific Northwest where there was a lot of Indian culture, and I remember as a kid growing up, I mean, literally down the road, there was this empty field, and we'd find arrowheads everywhere.
Yeah, so, I remember finding arrowheads everywhere.
Yeah.
And apparently now if you do, it's illegal to pick them up.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to give them to your corn?
Apparently it's good.
You are supposed to, I think you're just supposed to leave them. I think that's at least in Washington State, I don't know if that's a federal law or a national law, I should say. But I believe that what everyone's telling me, because we used to find, like, I never thought that finding arrowheads was that special. Now I know how special it was at any point in time. But we had an abundance of them in this area. But you can still find them, like up in Entiat. I just found one not that long ago, right on the riverbank. Like right on the riverbank, just sitting there. They jump out at you once you know what to look for,
Oh, for sure.
It's crazy that they're just like sitting there.
And
like what was the story that led up to that thing just sitting there on the shore of that river? The arrow that he carved out of a tree, washed away eons ago, and here's just this little fucking rock that got washed down the river all those years later. It's fucking fascinating that they just end up sitting there, right? It'd be like finding one of our monkey wrenches 200 years from now on some shore. Just like, what led to that being here? I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things I took for granted when I was a kid. They're everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but we would find them all the time.
Yeah, they're a lot harder to find nowadays. But like, I do remember distinctly, like, wow, where I grew up. I mean, it was literally at the end of the street. There's this like giant field. We used to always ride our BMX bikes through it and whatnot, and I stumble across them like all the time.
Yeah.
But I did send you guys another story on Facebook, which it might be a little lengthy. I would just suggest probably skip a little bit and watch this. This is footage of Bigfoot chasing somebody in a car in Russia. I don't know if it's real or not, but like if it's it's a good hoax.
It's just much of it. It's definitely a big figure running after this car.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's the way it kind of moves. It seems like doesn't seem like it's human. But I mean, it looks big. It looks like gorilla-ish.
What point should I start this video?
A minute in. You'll get to a point where like the dude's like talking about in an editor.
Okay.
And he's like, he's going to go through it and basically at the end of it, enhance it, turn on the highlights and stuff, so it's not so shadowy, so you can kind of get a better image.
Oh yeah, definitely something out there.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's in Russia, and I don't.
Well, you can hear fear in the voice.
Oh, and it looks like so. Basically, they spot this thing and they kind of slow down, and they let it catch up, and it seems like it's walking on the side of the road where telephone poles are, and it kind of barrels forward, like it's kind of like chasing the car.
Yeah.
And the car goes a little bit forward and slows down again and kind of plays that little game with it until it just takes off.
Well, it kind of looks like right now, it looks like it's crouching down like he's about to do a somersault by that telephone pole, and they're backing up.
Creep me out.
It is kind of creepy. It's creepy movements, but ultimately I'm left with guy in a suit vibes, but I mean,
and it's
aren't you always going to be, I guess? And it's so shaky and blurry. And they've stabilized it, but it doesn't help much. Oh, yeah, now it's charging him.
It's pretty creepy, dude. When it's charging, it's pretty creepy. They did a stabilized version of it, and that looks even creepier because like everything else is moving besides it, and then it stays stable.
It is pretty creepy, actually, watching it run toward him because it's so shadowy. But it's like, where's the definition? What kind of phone is this?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like even the cheapest smartphone on the market now could do better than this, right?
Yeah, Mother Russia.
Mother Russia, yeah. 2 megapixels.
Mother Russia, yeah.
2 megapixels. Well, yeah, ultimately it's impossible, I suppose, but it's interesting footage. But it does just kind of keep hanging around. Well, what I want to know is why aren't these guys just like going away? Like at this point, if it was a creature that's like fucking with me and juking, crouching down, like right now he's crouching down and like lunging at him. Why keep filming? Like you got it, right? Like you got it on camera, just go. I think that would be my instinct, right?
I think I would stop and back up. You're in a car. I mean, if anything, you just take off.
Yeah.
But I would have probably tried to get a better picture, I suppose.
But they just kind of hang out there for a while, and let's see how this pans out. Oh, it's juking at us and running at us. Okay, I'll back up 10 feet, and, well, let's see what happens next. Oh, more of the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, let's say that it's a bear, and you're in a car. It's like, okay, you got footage of the bear. It's pretty exciting. And it's lunging at you. It's like, you know what? We got it. Let's head out. I think I might treat it the same way, even though it's like a mystery and a phenomenon. And it's obviously an ape man type thing in theory. Well, that I guess not obviously. It's a man like thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell because the perspective,
silhouette.
This is the perspective of it. It's really hard to tell. You know, like how fast are they going? You know, how fast is he going when he crouches down? Mm-hmm. You know, because as a human with like 2 legs. That's if you're spanning 30 feet in that period when you're crunched down like that, that's pretty fucking impressive. You know what I mean? Because you're almost like on all four. You're running. That's what's creepy as hell. Think about.
Yeah, interesting. Anywho, good stuff. Anybody got anything else before we conclude with a round of weird trivia? Let's do it.
Go on to the trivia.
I'm feeling pretty lucky.
Yeah. All right. Well, you just win the last.
Lucky, though, because he just won the
lucky
shit out of McDonald's quiz.
Lucky and hungry. Yeah, you won last week's, and it was all about TV shows that had bad endings.
Yeah, you and me are great with the non-intellectual quizzes.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's
the
pair
pop
up
culture
and go
bullshit.
on
We got that
pop
done.
culture quiz. Yeah,
I'd like to see a game show called Pop Culture Bullshit. I'd love that show.
I think we would do.
Welcome to Pop Culture Bullshit.
That'd be a genius because I bet everyone would have that reaction. Like, I bet I'd do well on that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Then you gotta fuck.
All right. We got 4 questions tonight. The order in which you're playing is Ron, John Mark, and then Lyle. Y'all ready for this? Yeah, gets me in the mood every time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one of my favorite questions in a while. We've seen a lot of crazy shows turned into board games over the years. This is no exception. I recently found out you can pick up this board game based off of a daytime TV show. Is it A, You Get a Car, the Oprah board game where you can give fabulous cash and prizes to your friends?
Do we realize it's not exactly practical?
Is it B, Scared to Death with Ellen DeGeneres, a board game in which you take turns jumping out of packaging items to scare your friends? Is it C?
How could that be a board game? Come on.
Is it C, You Are Not the Father, the Maury Popovich board game where your DNA envelope will reveal all?
That would be an amazing game to play around the Christmas tree.
Totally.
Like, let's all gather
Dad
around.
starts sweating. Like,
watch
who
the
got
family
23andMe kits for Christmas? Or is it D, the Jerry Springer board game where you can play a transsexual fighting with a hermaphrodite over a mistress?
Wow.
One of these is real, motherfuckers.
That's the hardest
Monster.
part to believe.
I know.
Oh, I'm going first?
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Well, Oprah, You Get a Car is... These are all nuts.
Scared to Death, Ellen DeGeneres, You Are Not the Father, Maury Povich, You Get a Car with Oprah, or the Jerry Springer board game.
You know, I'm going to go with You Are Not the Father. I think that might be... I mean, I don't know how off the top of my head, but I think there might be...
It's like the most fucked up murder mystery dinner you've ever had.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is like, you just like...
Everyone gets their envelopes when they get here.
Someone's not the father. Yeah.
John Mark.
I'm going to go with You Are Not the Father as well. That has a ring of truth to me.
Okay. Lyle.
I'm going to go... Shit, I think that's the one I was going to go with.
Could be a
All right.
family game.
Question 2. And because we live in a world where everything is ruined and we can't have anything nice, now you can get pills that will do this to your body. Is it A, Is it A, make your sweat... one more time. 3rd time's the charm, guys. Is it A, make your sweat smell exactly like cotton candy? Is it B, make your poop shine and sparkle with glitter? Is it C, make your pubic hair automatically grow with a ginger hue despite your natural hair color?
This would be a cosmetic choice.
Yeah. Or is it D, make your fingernails have a mild glow-in-the-dark-like effect? You can now take a pill that will do this to your body. Ronster.
Be some serious chemical happening there. I'm leaning toward the fingernail thing. Sounds the most. Well, boy, the sparkly. There's something really. Has there been another sparkly poop story? I think there's a glitter poop.
If you know me,
back in the,
anything's possible.
Could be brown
Stupid
herring.
question. Of course, there's been another glitter
what
poop
a dumb
story.
thing to ask, son.
Well, now I'm leaning toward. I feel like the only thing that I think anyone would, because ultimately, if you're going to get glitter shit, you still have to call someone in to look at your poop
Hey, look at
or
this.
take a picture and send it. I don't want to see shiny poop any more than I do unshiny poop. So I'm canceling that one out right away. I feel like the only thing I don't know why anyone would want fire crotch, but who knows? We do have remind me
1,000 gingers.
Hey,
1,000
now.
gingers across the land gasped with anger when you said that.
it is I suppose a derogatory term. Now what is remind me A again?
Let's see. Make your sweat smell exactly like cotton candy.
I'm gonna go
Make
with
your poop-
I'm gonna go with the fingernails glowing in the dark. None of this makes sense to me. Although that's the only thing that's like, who wants to smell like cotton candy besides like 12-year-old girls? And do they even want to smell like cotton candy? I don't know. I'm gonna go with the fingernails. The only thing that makes sense cosmetically.
Jump mark.
Not that I couldn't get behind being a fire crotch for a night.
I think if you want to smell like cotton candy, you can just vape. So
yeah, that's the going theory that most people interpret that smell.
I'm
Whether it's
gonna go with
blueberry
the shiny poops.
When in doubt. Okay.
Who the fuck is
Lyle.
who do you show?
I'm going with it.
It's for
that-
its own
is that
sense
passing
of
around the
smug
phone?
Self-satisfaction.
Christmas?
Hey, Ron, I think you know. Yeah, we both know a guy that would actually show you.
Sure.
It's me.
No,
Hi, it me.
we had a mutual friend that would actually like do like a triple gainer and
Yeah,
like
to
take
be,
a
to be
photo of
fair,
it. Hey,
his
come on.
turds were like the John Holmes of the bowel movement world. It was like, it was worthy of sharing. We didn't want to see it, and yet at the same time, it was like
Like a
holy
train wreck.
shit, what are you eating? How
Couldn't
long?
look away.
Like, how often are you pooping? That's 2 weeks worth, and curled up like a
How did
don't
that
tread
get
on me
outside of you?
snake in that. Yeah,
Oh my god.
worthy of share.
Where are we? Lyle, I think I need your answer, buddy.
Yeah, glitter poop.
Glitter poop. Solid glitter. He said that with such authority.
Yeah, starting
Holy
to feel
fuck. Glitter poop.
starting to feel like I'm the one out of the bowl on this one.
He didn't even dick around with an analyze. He just gripped like glitter poop.
Glitter poop.
Well, he had a real life story to.
I got him up on my shelf next to my dick pills I don't use.
Makes me feel fabulous.
All right.
Sparkle on both ends now.
I mean, you can take them at the same time.
All right, let's move on to question 3. In Grants Pass, Oregon, there's a wildlife rehabilitation center that offers shelter and sanctuary for the hundreds of wild animals that live there, big and small. This coming Valentine's Day, they're trying to raise some funds while also perhaps trying to help you get over your ex by selling these at $20 a pop. What can you buy for $20 at this wildlife refuge? Is it a piece of petrified beaver poop, which will be boxed and delivered to your ex?
2 poops and 1 quiz.
Is it 2 poops, 1 quiz? That should be what this is called. Is it B?
We're near a beaver.
Is it B? They will
I'd
put
play
your
that as
ex's
quickly
name.
as I would pop culture bullshit. Just
play
get-
two
just-
poops,
2
one
birds,
quiz
1
every time
stone.
I-
Let's just do poop culture. The quiz.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
Poop
man.
culture.
B, they'll put your ex's name on a salmon before they feed it to a 1,000-pound bear.
I can see that almost seems like ancient in its ceremoniousness.
Is it C? You'll be able to live stream a video of a bobcat tearing apart a piece of meat that's had your ex's initials seared into it.
Okay.
Or is it D? You can watch a live stream link of monkeys slinging poo at a wall with your ex's name on it, and if it gets hit, you get a prize.
That's
I spoke too soon. 3 poops, 1 quiz.
Oops, one
Yeah, no
quiz.
problem, guys. Send help and toilet paper.
Well, I haven't gone with the brown herring thus far, but I'm really enchanted by the idea of monkeys throwing poop at your ex's face. That
Okay.
sounds like a winner. That's a winner idea right there. If it doesn't exist, someone make it exist.
Lyle, excuse me, John Mark.
So what was the first one? Petrified beaver poop nugs?
Certified beaver poop mailed to your ex.
I'm going to go with that one.
All right.
There is a bill. Hey, well, I better not.
I don't condone having poop anywhere near a beaver.
Oh,
I'm gonna go
firm
with that.
front to backer. As it should
Yeah,
be.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Guys,
What are you going with?
listening?
Listen, not care.
Attention. Is this thing on? All right.
Chris is like, which way are you going? What did he say it, front to back? Hey.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Wakey.
Oh, I think he
That's
answered.
the beaver. And
Oh, you're going
He's
to
going
beaver
with
poop.
BBD.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Okay, apologies. Let's move on to question number 4. The TSA released a statement to all of the holiday travelers recently clarifying that it's completely okay to pack this item into your carry-on luggage. Something holiday related they had to specify because they get a lot of questions about it, apparently. Is it A, live growing mistletoe? Onto your carry-on.
Growing for growing. Gotcha.
Is it B, a whole cooked turkey?
Yeah.
Is it C, confetti party poppers if left unopened in their packaging?
I can see that.
Or is it D, a Christmas tree if it fits in your carry-on?
Okay.
So once again, it was live growing mistletoe plants, a whole cooked turkey, confetti party poppers if left in unopened packaging, or a Christmas tree if it fits in your carry-on. One of these things that TSA had to release a statement about, that it's okay to have in your carry-on, in your luggage.
Wow. Tough list. I am just, for the spirit of the season, going to go with the Christmas tree.
Okay.
Why would you travel with
Interesting.
any of this shit? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the poppers. A party could break out at any time, gang. You don't want
I gotta be prepared, Pop!
You got to celebrate joining the Mile High Club in that bathroom some way.
Right. I was just going to say
Don't
that.
you love the
something
smell
else,
of those things when they, it's like that little hint of gunpowder.
Yeah, it's sulfury.
Yeah.
Okay. John Mark?
I'm going to go with the turkey.
A cooked
Give me all that turkey.
turkey.
Yeah.
Lyle?
You know, it seems to me I watched a video of somebody blowing a turkey up on an airport because they thought it was a bomb. So I'm going to go with turkey.
Fire in the butterball.
It's not a bomb. It's my turkey.
Okay.
All right.
We have an interesting game here, to say the least. I'm tabulating a score real fast. 1 second. Okay. Very interesting.
That checks out.
Yeah.
I really
Carry
thought
the
we
ball?
might get
Okay.
a fourth poop from that question.
Not today, sorry.
Poop,
The elusive
yeah.
fourth
All right.
poop.
Well, something to aim for. I mean, you never blow all your
Yeah.
wad like a...
I set the
3
bar
poops,
pretty-
1 quiz.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Okay, question 1. We've seen some crazy shows turned into board games in our life, but nothing crazier than You Are Not the Father, the Maury Povich game where your DNA envelope will reveal all. I loved seeing this. I thought it was so fucking
That is
funny.
funny.
I would totally play this game. Okay.
I wonder
You all
whose
got that
idea it
correct?
was. Might have been Maury's.
Yeah. I couldn't shake you guys. You had that one. Hands down. Okay.
Yeah, that one just felt right.
Question 2, because we live in a world where everything is ruined and we can't have anything nice, you can now get pills that will make your poop shine and sparkle with glitter. And I know you're like, God, I don't want to see it, but boom, there's a picture coming to your right fucking now.
Right. Yeah.
A fucking party in that toy
Is that coming over text?
Facebook.
Let it
All right,
shine.
so what is the market here?
That's a great question.
mean, is
I
it
don't
like our
know.
You
friends
know
that-
what it is, Ron. You
It's
know
a
what it
party.
I
is.
just don't know.
Party in a bowl.
Who do you send a poopogram to?
Oh, I know who I'd send it to.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't make... That's a little misleading because I expected, like, a turd to be shining. Basically like those pills are.
That's what it's going to be. But that picture is definitely not good. They're not going to show you that in their marketing materials.
Yeah,
they're just going to give you. They're just going to give you an idea. This is
just a
this is
moat.
the idea of glitter poop.
It's
I'm
a
sorry there
swamp
wasn't enough
around
turd
Castle
in that
Gay.
photo, Ron.
It's a moat
sorry
of
there
rainbowy glitter. Yeah.
I'm sorry there wasn't enough turd. I'll make sure to send more.
No.
I'm deeply disappointed.
Not a
Do
challenge.
we need to do a science experiment? Do we need to actually try these out?
Oh, come on. Don't you think? Okay. Oh, I get that they wouldn't. I guess I get why they wouldn't want to put a sparkly turd in an advertisement for their pill that makes your turds sparkly. I guess I get that, but they could have used something.
Imagine.
They could have used like a cartoony version of it. Like, this is a simulation of what it looked like.
Sure.
This is a toilet that looks like it was taken with the fucking Polaroid, by the way,
A shiny poop emoji.
with a moat of sparkles in it.
Yeah,
You know what's fucked up?
That's if you had some really spicy food the day before.
That's
You know
if you've
what's
had
really
Taco
fucked
Bell.
up?
Mm-hmm.
What's really fucked up about that is like when you wipe your butt, it feel like your butt went to a fucking stripper party.
Yeah, what if you get that shit?
My shit went to a stripper party.
Isn't glitter? What is glitter?
It's like it's plastic essentially.
Do you want little
tiny pieces of tinsel?
They're square or rectangular, right? They're pointy. Do you want
Just
pointy
tiny.
things sliding down your
Well,
intestine?
they're so small. They're so small. It wouldn't
I
affect you
love
that
how
way.
you
I
are
wouldn't
defending
think.
this, John Mark. I love how you at every step is like, no, you misunderstand, Ron. This is an illustration. Like, oh, come on, they're small. They're going to slide right through. Wait a minute. Did you invest in glitter poops, John Mark?
I'll never tell.
We need full disclosure here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so confused by this graphic because look how razor sharp the image on the left is. It's like this perfectly shot close up of the pill. Then you have this like blurry, grainy toilet on the right with glittery water.
I think we need a
Experiment?
science moment.
Yeah, I'm not guinea pigging my ass for
Renal
little
failure. So I can't do
aluminum and plastic squares to slide down the old Ronster's lower intestine. I got enough issues. I got enough. I'm taxing my body enough. I don't need to.
You know
need to
how
send it
hard
through
that
this
shit is
test.
to get out of your carpet? Imagine how hard it is to get out of your colon.
Sure. And do we
Maybe
know?
it's like roughage. Maybe
do we
it does
know
a
if
good
this
scrape
is?
on its way out.
Do we know if this is septic tank approved? This seems scattershot. Scattershit. The company's
More
probably
research
called
is
scattershit.
required. More research is mandatory.
More
By
data.
the way, look out for the sponsor of next week's episode, poopglitterpills.com.
Sponsored by Scattershit.
I feel like the kids eating the tripod.
No, it's Disco Dumps.
Disco dumps.
Shine a light on that turd. Let's dance.
Disco dumps.
I'm gonna dance a disco dump. God, we have too much time on our hands and too much glitter in our butts. Coming to a Archie's near you, I suppose.
As a quote, sure.
Yeah.
Get that drop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, question 3. In Grants Pass, Oregon, there's a wildlife rehabilitation center trying to raise some funds in an interesting way. So this Valentine's Day, for $20, they will put your ex's name onto a salmon and feed it to a 1,000-pound bear.
Yeah.
Nobody
got that.
Yeah,
Well, it's not the most
brown
exciting
thing.
one. Hmm.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
sorry,
you like to
guys.
see a monkey flinging its
Can't be all glitter
freshly
poop
made
and fucking-
poop? That's right. You know, I felt less lucky with the monkey after the glitter in the shitter.
That was before.
It ain't getting better than that, folks.
Nobody got that right, weirdly. All right, question 4. TSA released a statement to all of its holiday travelers recently, clarifying that it's completely okay to pack an entire cooked turkey into your luggage. and fly with it.
Guess we're back on target.
Ronster, you got one right, but John Mark and Lyle tied with 3 points apart. So I've been holding on to this fun little tiebreaker that came out in October. It's an article that came out in the Rolling Stone about Kurt Cobain's sweater he wore during his Unplugged recording. You guys remember that like green sweater? You can just picture him wearing it. Well, that recently went for auction. And it sells for a pretty good amount. And I want to see if you guys, the closest one to it is going to get it. the win tonight between Lyle and John Mark. So go ahead.
I was like, what? That's awesome.
Oh. Yeah. So, and I guess, and here's something to consider. It still had cigarette burns in it and everything from, his wear. So,
are we texting this to you?
Yeah, text it, Facebook Message, whatever you got to do. Just get me your guess. And it's not Price is Right rules. We're going to go whoever's closest.
How much did the sweater go? The sweater game song. I sing now.
As you were.
I'll be rhyming.
As I want you to be.
Okay, I have Lyle's.
Oh, damn it. I was typing my answer into
But I just went to Google instead, and oh, no.
And I found it.
I was typing it into the to field and not the message field.
Oh, man. Did you get high before we recorded too, buddy? What's going on?
No. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. This is fucking fascinating. Okay.
I'm dying to guess, too.
Go ahead and what's your guess, Monster?
I would guess 150,000.
Okay. Lyle came in at 10,000.
Oh.
You said 150.
Makes me think I'm way over. That's a pretty iconic thing.
John Mark said 325,000.
Oh.
Wow. Actual retail price at auction, $334,000.
Wow.
John Mark, you're right there. You must have seen the story and had an idea.
I did, but I couldn't remember. Was it 125 or 300?
Yeah. Well done, sir.
Nice.
Well fucking done. That puts your win up to, you've got 11 wins, buddy.
Yes, I'm back.
I know you're back, baby.
Well, Lyle gave me a good run for my money this time, though.
Yeah, Lyle was on it, man.
That'd be like owning the striped shirt that Elvis wore at the Jailhouse Rock.
It's just as iconic, right?
Like yeah. It's like, that's a pretty iconic. Like, I close my eyes and I picture Nirvana Unplugged. You can't not see that sweater and the giant candles, right?
Yeah. That'd be dope.
Having
a shadow box.
What's that?
I said that'd be dope to have like in a shadow box with the album.
Oh, I'd be wearing that shit to bed every night.
Would you?
What are you going to do? Who's going to tell you not to?
All right.
Like, it's me now. Anyone that buys this from me gets Kurt Cobain's cigarette stains and my jizz crust. Like, deal with it. Like that the price goes up or down, I don't care. That's my, that's my, good Lord, using Kurt Cobain's prized cardigan as a cum rack just because it's close.
Come as you.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. But, yeah, probably best to just lock it away in a shadow box. Well, good shit. That was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was fun. Good job, guys.
Anyone that wants to support the show, we're still available at patreon.com/talesfromthespacepod, even though we haven't called ourselves that since soon to be last year. Good Lord, it's almost 2020. Do you believe them shits? It's almost 2020. We only got a couple more episodes before 2020. So, looking forward to seeing where the show goes in the future, especially now that I have a little bit more time on my hands. Although, who knows where I go in the future. I don't even know what my life looks like in one fucking month. Right now, it's a whole lot of moving out of Radar Station. Once I get out, we'll see. Got some choices. Got some options. But supporting us is an option you all have. Patreon.com/Tales from the Space Pod. We also would love to have some of your feedback. You can send your emails to ron@boronfilms.com, as you've always done. Also, radarstationart at gmail.com. Either one. That'll work for now, and we'll get an official SpacePod thing set up. I do want to set up a voicemail thing. We did this for a while with the SpacePod thing, and it was starting to kind of take off. But it never really did. And there were some fun ones. Sarah was telling me about some fun ones that she heard. Some people talking about their own backyard Bigfoot scenario. It was fun to follow. But until then, you can always send us a voice message. You can either record this with your phone or on your computer and send it as a WAV or an MP3. Email it to us. We'll play it on the air. If it's a spooky story or feedback, a show suggestion, or if you just want to ramble on, if it's interesting, send it our way. We'll probably play it. I'd like to hear from you all. It's such a weird, nebulous group you all are, all over the world, mostly in the States, secondly in Europe, but you're listening on all continents, and that is really intriguing to us. And we never hear from you. So
we want to know more about you.
Do give us some feedback and do leave a review if you do enjoy the show on whatever platform you listen to. That helps spread the word, and spread the word yourself. That also helps spread the word. Anyway, tune in next week. We will be talking about 9/11, and I think that is going to be quite the show. Thanks all for listening. I'm sure we'll get another episode in before Christmas, but just in case, happy holidays, and we'll be talking to y'all soon. Night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
See you guys later.
Good night. How many AM PM hot dogs am I? About 6. Yeah, I'm good for my first blowjob ever. Zip.